No music today. And I'm gonna tell y'all why there's no music today. Because they keep flagging me for using this instrumental. They keep flagging me for using the song. So I don't know if I have to go back and do something. But Grand Rising, hopefully everybody's having a great start to their AM. Let me get to this chat real quick. I need something in the background though. Hold on. I need some audio in the background. All right, I need something. They try to flag the last post, but it is what it is. We got a lot to discuss anyway. Let's see, what should we put on? Let's see, whatever this is. Keep a couple instrumentals. Just to start off the show, man. Like. See how the energy is different when you got music behind you? But no, appreciate y'all tapping in as always. We got a lot to discuss. Is Trump turning into a traitor? Is Trump or I should say, a lot of people may say he's already turned into it. But what are y'all thoughts? We're going to get into that. A few other discussions. Of course, y'all know what we're going to end up talking about. It'll come up somehow, some way. It just is where things are right now. But shout out to Critical Thinking in the building. Yo. Finn said, good morning to Critical. The team is here. The team has arrived, man. Shout out to Unc in the building. Good morning, Grand Rising. Thank you all, friends and family. Please remember to like and subscribe. This is a controversial topic, but we're about to have it. Thank you all for sitting in. Please remember, y'all are getting Unc this week, man. Y'all are getting Unc this week. I'm thinking, Unc, what we thinking, Friday? Friday could be a good look. Friday or tomorrow, y'all getting some Unc, man. Let's keep it moving. This is a two-way show. We try to respond to every voice. Thank you. Please remember to tell a friend about the start. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Yeah, maybe let me give y'all a second to go to the bottom of the screen or the bottom of the video, click the share button. And then when you click the share button, send it to your friends. It's gonna help elevate their days. They're gonna thank you for this. They're gonna thank you for bringing you in on this conversation that they otherwise wouldn't have, or they would probably just be having with themselves or in their own little bubble. That's not gonna allow them to expand, all right? We're all about expanding our knowledge, our perspective. That way we can figure out a way to get this thing together with humanity and America overall. Shout out to Big Bro Steve in the building. Good morning to my fellow warriors of wisdom. Truth Seekers Unite. Truth Seekers Unite. I felt like doing a little Wakanda thing with Steve. Truth Seekers Unite. I love that, big bro. This is what we're... Turn the music off. This is what we're coming together on. We're uniting on truth. Because where people have opinions on good versus bad, right versus wrong, perhaps the first thing, the foundation that we can unite on is truth. All right, then we can go from there. But when we don't have that foundation of truth, I don't think we can ever have a realistic goal of creating peace, of creating anything that serves as a united front and puts my brother ahead of me, right? Isn't that what the Bible teaches us? To treat others the way that we want to be treated, to put others before we put ourselves. These are valuable principles that we can apply to life. Shout out to Finn in the building. Got one of my daughters, Destiny, tuning in. She's very anti-Nick, so I'm trying to educate her, LOL. Yo, this is a safe space for people that are interested in learning about Nick or tapping into some of Nick's videos. And we actually have a response video from Nick. I think Nick's responding to Donald Trump on the H-1B visas. So Nick's going to be responding to Donald Trump on the H-1B visas. And I think he also goes into the conversation of why he respects or why he likes, I don't know if the word like is the right word, but why he maybe said some of those things that he did about Stalin. So, yeah. And when it comes to Nick, I think that it's like anything else, maybe in life, when you're turned off by something, it can be very hard to, then circle back, especially when you may have heard him saying certain things, speaking a certain way. But a lot of this, you know what a lot of this comes down to? I was thinking about this when it comes to Nick Fuentes, especially when it comes to women. Women are really not aware of how men talk when men are not in the building. Women are not aware of how most men talk when women are not in the building. And most men do not keep it real with women and act a completely different way when women are in the room compared to when it's just the fellas. Now, maybe this is a good thing. Perhaps it is. You know, some people may say that that's phony. And I think that a lot of men are not honest about how a lot of men talk. Like when men will be sitting there with their wives or their girlfriends or their daughters and sit there and hear Nick Fuentes saying certain things, and they'll sit there and the woman will be like, "Oh my God, that's crazy. Why is he talking like that?" And I think this obviously is not a blanket statement to all men and all women, but this is what I feel like happens. And I think men will sit there and be like, "Yeah, that's terrible that he said that." Same thing with Donald Trump when he was saying, "Grab him by the pee." Like, knock it off, bro. Like, like you men, you were really offended by that when Donald Trump said that? That offended you in a private conversation that he didn't know that he was on hot mic? When he said that the women will just let you grab, fellas, why don't you be real with your daughters? Why don't you be real with your sisters, with your wives, with your girlfriends, with your friends? Yeah, that's sometimes how it is. You're in certain spaces. Sometimes there's certain women that will allow that. What was so bad that he said it? That's what I think happens with a lot of these conversations. Women are just not aware of how men speak when women are not in the room. But to each their own. I'm not saying that's a good thing, bad thing, right? Neither good nor bad. I'm just telling y'all what it is. All right, nephew, whenever you ready, we can work on that. Bet. All right, we're going to lock it in. Shout out to Jim in the building. Good morning, all. Wet snow coming down in Buffalo. It's a great day to be alive. I remember when I was living in Canada, I swear in Buffalo, they had 5 feet of snow, something with the lake effect or something like that. Because I think just like a few miles outside of that particular area, there wasn't a lot of snow. So something I was learning about with the lake effect. I'm sure Jim can educate us on it a little bit better than me, or a lot better than me. All right, so let's we got Phyllis tapping in from San Diego. Shout out to Phyllis in the building. Zachary, shout out to Zachary. Zachary said, listen to Nick last night. Sad to hear about his feelings of Trump as I was a Trumper, but you cannot deny what Nick is saying about the current administration. And it is sad. It is sad. Every day when I come on here, and well, not every day, I'm not criticizing Trump every day, but since Donald Trump has been president, I feel like maybe a month or two after, when things were moving in a direction where it's like, hey, this doesn't align with what Donald Trump was pushing. Perhaps it was the Epstein files. Maybe that was what solidified it for me. Like, oh, Trump is being controlled. And it is extremely disappointing because when we looked at Trump, I voted for Trump. This is extremely disappointing. I voted for Trump. This is extremely disappointing. Because when you look at Donald Trump, what a lot of people believe, and perhaps Nick was right about this because Nick did not vote. He did not vote for Trump. And this is something that I did years ago, but it's not going to make it about me. But yeah, so perhaps Nick was right about that. But Trump was seen as the guy that would go against the mold, that wouldn't listen to the establishment, that would drain the swamp. And it's almost as if he's used his fanaticism or it's like he knows that he has a lot of fans. He knows that he has a lot of fans, and he built the fans based on bucking the system, or however you want to look at it, being the non-political politician. And now we're just looking at him and seeing him cave, seeing him like even express some of the views that he's expressing. We're getting ready to show you one as far as with the H-1B visas. It just makes absolutely no sense. You lied to the people, Trump. You lied to the people. You're making it more about business than about the Americans. You said that you were going to make America great again. Did you just were you just thinking about like the rich billionaires? Were you just thinking about the wealthy? Were you just thinking about big pharma? Were you just thinking about big Silicon Valley? Were you just thinking about Israel? I don't know what it is. But we're looking at you and you're not looking recognizable, and you're trying to convince us that, yeah, it's the same me. It's me. It's not. It's not who you were running as. It's not even who I believe you were, maybe even your first term when I didn't vote for you. But It is disappointing. It is disappointing. But what I want to commend you for, Zachary, is being able to say, you know what, this is disappointing. And you know what, Nick is right. Because if we can't criticize the people that we support, then we're never going to get these changes that we want. And I see that on, if we, let me not bring it to the other side, but if we can't criticize the people that we support, the people that we voted for, because what typically happens, we vote for somebody and then we're trying to justify why we voted for that person. So now we'll justify anything to any particular way just to validate why we voted for this person. Think about it. Donald Trump hasn't been in office for a year. He hasn't been in office for a year. So one thing that does give me hope is the fact that you have the Marjorie Taylor Greens, the fact that you have the Thomas Masseys, the fact that you have the Candace Owens, the Dave Smiths, the Theo Vons, the Nick Fuenteses, the people that supported Trump, the people that like Trump, Tucker Carlson's, but are still willing to criticize him. That's what gives me hope, because typically it's the mainstream news media way of doing things. Where you look at an MSNBC, they're going to say everything that's favorable to Biden while he's in office. Or you look at Fox News, they're going to say anything that's favorable to Donald Trump now, kind of, I guess. Yeah. Right? As long as Donald Trump's pushing pro-Israel and all the people that fund, you know, the donors to Fox News, whether it's Big Pharma, Silicon Valley, as long as Donald Trump's, you know, abiding by those rules and making sure that he's pushing those things rather than pushing things for the American people, Fox News is going to be behind him, or so it appears. That's just my mindset on it. Y'all tell me if it's different for y'all. All right, so let's get into it. The first video that we'll look at, I actually want us to look at this video that I came across a few days ago, and it's a Richard Nixon video. So I'll be totally honest, I'm not that familiar with Richard Nixon. Not that familiar with Richard Nixon as a president. I obviously either wasn't, hold on, when was Nixon president? I don't even think I was born. When was President Nixon in office? Let's see. All right, so President Nixon was in office in 1969. So obviously I wasn't around here. Wasn't even a thought. So he was in office and president in 1969. And obviously, I think the biggest thing that he's known for is Watergate. But I'm not too familiar with what his stances are. I'm not too familiar with anything when it comes to Nixon. Not familiar with him, but I want to share this video with you all. Let me share it, and we'll continue the conversation after this with Donald Trump, Laura Ingraham, and get into all those videos that I already told y'all that we would be discussing. So take a look at this. Let me know your thoughts, all right? Let me make sure we're shared. Nah, too small. That's all right.
Let me explain something about what is called the Jewish lobby in this country. Their belief is that being for Israel first, that does not mean you're putting America second. An American president, however, has to approach it in a different way, in my opinion. He's got always to think first of what is best for America. An American president must make a decision that does not, in effect, give the Israelis a blank check. And one example of that is a decision that I made. I decided early on in our administration that we were going to seek good relations with Egypt and others of Israel's neighbors. Many of my Israeli friends didn't like that because they wanted a special relationship with Israel and Israel only. Let me explain.
What do y'all think about that? Seems pretty straightforward, seems pretty direct, right? Of course, Israel wants a special relationship with Israel. But when it comes to America, does it benefit us to have a special relationship with Israel? Or does it benefit us to have a good relationship, a solid relationship, a purposeful relationship, a meaningful relationship with various countries in that region, to where a special relationship with one doesn't make us an enemy or a target of the rest. Which one is it? So I just wanted to start the conversation that way, and then we'll get into the rest of the combos. But I just want to keep that in mind, because some of these things that we're seeing, it's like, this is just common sense. No matter how much these politicians try to convince us that Israel is our greatest ally, it just doesn't make sense. Honestly, this is what's creating a lot of the anti-Semitism. I know I keep saying honest, Professor King. This is what's creating a lot of the anti-Semitism. It's the fact that we can't speak open and honest like he was just speaking. It's the fact that we have these politicians that are receiving, it's just the money. It's just the money. It's just the money. We got to get all this money out of our politics. We have to get money out of our politics. We have to get AIPAC to register as a foreign lobby. It just has to be that. Because if not, then billionaires, Israeli billionaires like Miriam Adelson will feel comfortable. Could you imagine doing this in any other country? And what's so funny is we always talk about, let me get this off the screen real quick. We always talk about, well, do you know what would happen if, people have been saying this about the Muslims, Mamdani, Patrick Bet-David was saying this. Do you think that there ever be a Christian, mayor elected in a Muslim country? And we always play these different scenarios out. Could you imagine anybody going to Israel and trying to have the influence over Israel's government, how a lot of Israelis come to America and just spend, trying to control our politicians? This is not assimilating to America. Although Ben Shapiro can sit up here and act as if he's the most American person in the world, you're not. What did Richard Nixon just say? You can't put Israel first and America first. Isn't that said in scripture somewhere? You can't serve two masters. So it's very funny how we always try to play these different scenarios, or what if this, what if that, to try to rationalize certain things. But could you imagine somebody, an American or somebody in a different country, going to Israel and buying off their politicians? How long do you think that they would last in Israel? It just doesn't make any sense. But we'll get into the main topic right now. Let's look at this Trump conversation with Laura Ingraham. Quick, we're only going to look at a certain part of it. We had a longer video to play, but I only want to look at the shorter part. Matter of fact, let me see if I think BK may be jumping on a few. Am I going to hold off on that? Let me hold off on that part very quickly. We'll hold off on that part very quickly. And we'll hold off on that video for 1 second. And I want y'all to I want to follow up on something that we played the other day. So the other day we played a clip of Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro going on Megyn Kelly's show and telling Megyn Kelly about Candace Owens accusing Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's wife, of killing him. Ben Shapiro was spreading this narrative that, oh, why do you not feel like you should be calling it out? He was scolding Megyn Kelly, making up these things that I hadn't seen. So I was like, damn, did I miss something that Candace said? Because everything that I heard Candace saying was that Candace, the only person that could get her to stop what she's doing is Erica Kirk. The only person that could convince her to stop putting out text messages, to stop doing this deep dive, to stop doing this investigation, to stop playing detective is Erica Kirk. And when Ben Shapiro said this in front of Megyn Kelly, you could tell Megyn Kelly was a bit uncomfortable. So she either wasn't equipped with the information, so she didn't want to respond quickly and say like, no, Candace didn't say that. So she just took it, but she came back. She came back and had this to say. Let me put it up for you guys. Make sure that y'all are like, and subscribing as well.
He said that Candace has been claiming Erica Kirk was behind the murder of Charlie, which I had not heard. and I was taken aback because that seems like something I would have heard. It's so crazy. And I have since learned it is not true. Candace has not made that claim. And in fact, I've now seen several clips of Candace specifically defending Erica Kirk and saying she would never make a claim like that about Erica, and that she is open-minded to other people at Turning Point. That's obvious. She's been making that point. I had heard that point. But she's specifically been defending Erica Kirk, and she's been saying she does not think that of Erica. And in fact, if you read her comments, she's under pressure to make comments about Erica. And so far, what I've seen, she hasn't. So thank you for that question.
I keep telling y'all over and over, and I know y'all are saying the same thing. Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin and Josh Hammer and Randy Fine, they are scared. They're scared for their existence. I've never been in that position. I've never been in a position where I'm fearful of my existence. They are crashing out right in front of us. Ben Shapiro is telling people in America that if you can't afford to live in America, then you should just move. If you can't exist on your own without government assistance, you should just move. He's not even, this is an intelligent person saying this. Do you not think that you're going to get a certain level of pushback where people find it ironic that you're telling Americans that in America, while Israel is getting a whole bunch of our aid, while Israel is getting our support financially, morally, in whatever way, other way you can imagine? Israel couldn't exist without America, and Ben Shapiro is pushing this stuff. Ben Shapiro was going on different people's shows trying to convince us that he was closer friends with Charlie than he really was. He's trying to convince us that Candace Owens is committing evil acts by doing what? By questioning who killed Charlie, because we've already seen that people are lying. We've already seen that every hunter that they asked about the gun that was allegedly used to kill Charlie said that there's no way that gun was used. Kash Patel is feeding us information that doesn't seem consistent. All of these things are happening as if they're not happening on top of what we already saw with Epstein. And Ben Shapiro is so scared that he's putting out certain information where his true feelings are coming out. His true feelings and how he cares about America and how he cares about people who will call out Israel and who will call out people who are Israel first and won't allow the American people to get finessed as if we're all stupid. This is why he's doing it. This is why he's doing it. All right, I'm not going to be able to, we're not going to wait around. Let's get into the Trump's conversation around the H-1Bs. Hold on one second. Let me just. All right. Let me pull this up for you all. All right, share this tab instead.
Country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands.
Let me run it back.
Also do have. There's never going to be a country like what we have right now.
And does that
mean
the
Republicans have to talk about it? Laura.
And does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we have plenty of talented people
here.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have. You don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put you.
How did we ever do it before?
Well,
when you and I were
I'll give you an example. In Georgia, they raided because they wanted illegal immigrants out. They had people from South Korea that made batteries all their lives. You know, making batteries are very complicated. It's not an easy thing and very dangerous. A lot of explosions, a lot of problems. They had like 500 or 600 people, early stages, to make batteries and to teach people how to do it. Well, they wanted them to get out of the country. You're going to need that, Laura. I mean, I know you and I disagree on this. You can't just say a country's coming in, going to invest $10 billion to build a plant, and going to take people off an unemployment line who haven't worked in 5 years, and they're going to start making missiles. It doesn't work that way.
Why doesn't it work that way? And I wanted to play the entire clip through, and now we're going to go back and dissect this. But Before we go back and dissect it line by line, this is not MAGA. This is not America First. Everybody knows, like, Donald Trump's now trying to present this logical argument as if it's logical of, oh yeah, you know, these people have been doing these things their entire lives. So of course, you know, we're going to need them to come to America and be in America and doing some of these things. Donald Trump, you presented MAGA with an understanding that, hey, we may need to reinvest in America. You said that you wanted to put America first. So obviously that would come with perhaps some shortcomings initially, but eventually get us to a point where we are the factory workers. He knew that this would take some time, I would assume, unless you were just talking, because how would you not? Yes, there's going to be a learning curve. Yes, there's going to be a learning curve. Just like Donald Trump, you weren't a politician. There was a bit of a learning curve, right? But you felt like you were still the person for the job, that you could learn on the job and still do a better job than other people. Then why can't the Americans do the same? Why can't American factory workers learn something new? Is it going to be a bit of a learning curve? Absolutely. But will it benefit America in the long term? Absolutely. Will it benefit our economy? Will it benefit us being able to not need a lot of the government assistance that we currently need? Will it benefit us in being able to have the factories here, be able to have Americans working there? Now Americans can now spend in the economy, so we're recirculating the money rather than bringing other people here and paying foreigners to do the jobs that Americans can be doing. When we have all these kids that are leaving college with these degrees that are damn near meaningless right now, you're telling me that these college kids can't figure out a lot of these jobs? College kids are not above that. Non-college kids are not above that. People want to work. People want to figure out how to make a living. But when there's nothing here for us to do, because all we're doing is giving the jobs out to different people that come into America, then how can we now have Americans compete? How can you compete? Let's listen to it again and we'll go through and dissect it line by line.
There's never going to be a country like what we have right now.
But as you're listening to it, think about who sounds like America first. If Donald Trump was doing this, Donald Trump would be ripping somebody doing this type of interview. If this was an opponent of his, let's say 4 years ago, or of course 8 years ago, or 12 years ago, 13 years ago, whatever it is, he would be ripping his political opponent. Instead, he's just allowing this stuff. He's being a politician. He's doing the same things that all of these other politicians have done. And if that was the case, if you never set the bar, Donald Trump, that you were going to be a transcendent, unique unicorn, right? Somebody that was going to drain the swamp, be different, be non-establishment, be for the people, really represent the people. If you didn't set the bar so high, then maybe we wouldn't be looking at you the way that we're looking at you right now. But you set the bar so high, and now you think that we're fools because now that you set the bar here and you're behaving here, you think that we should just accept it. It's not happening. It's not happening. Let's go through. And let me see. I wanted to make sure that I'm gonna try to make sure that I'm catching up with y'all comments as well, man. I'm gonna make sure that I'm catching up with y'all comments as well. Give me a second. Let's go through it one more time.
We're going to be a country like what we have right now.
And does that
the
mean
Republicans have to talk about it?
And does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't. No.
He said we don't have talent. We have plenty of talent. We just may not know the skills. We have plenty of talented Americans that just have not been taught the skills yet. Just because I've never been a plumber does not mean that I can't learn how to be a plumber. Just because I've never been a mechanic, a barber, whatever else it may be. I just haven't learned the trade yet. I haven't developed those skills. That doesn't mean that I don't have the talent to develop it. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. Anybody that continues to support Donald Trump, I'm just asking why. I can understand somebody who's pro-Israel, who's a Zionist, or somebody that's big into Silicon Valley. I can understand somebody who's into big pharma, but outside of that, why are you supporting Donald Trump? What about him is giving off the energy that riled you up 4 years ago, 8 years ago, 12 years ago? What about what he's actually doing resembles that energy that got you to become a fanatic of him? That's what I would ask.
We don't have talented people here.
No, you don't have certain talents, and people have to learn.
People have to learn, Donald Trump. Yes. So let's just look at it like this. And this is the problem with these politicians. And Donald Trump seems to be trying to save face. He's trying to say he's in a position where he could go down as one of the worst presidents in the history of America, in my opinion. When all's said and done, he could go down as the final straw to we need something different. He was supposed to be the person that let us out of that mindset. Now he's becoming the final straw. What happens if we continue down this path to where instead of us saying, you know what, we may have to take a step back or just stand still in order to run eventually, right? We may have to take a little bit of a setback because of this learning curve of us investing in Americans. Isn't that true in any investment? You have to give something in order to get something back in return. He's not even willing to make that investment. Why? Because it may not happen on his timeline. We may not be able to see the gains while he's in office. So he doesn't want to make any investments that then the next president or the president after that will see the gains from the investment. We'll see the return. That's the only thing that I can think of. What do you think will happen if you continue to have the mindset that, well, we just don't have talented people, so of course we got to bring in tens of thousands of people to compete against Americans, to compete in an unfair competition because they've already developed the skills, so therefore, no, we're going to take care of America first. I thought that was the whole thing. We're going to prioritize Americans. We're going to prioritize the American economy. At what point is Donald Trump's MAGA going to hold him accountable to truly being America first and making America great again? Because I don't see how making America great again aligns with just bringing non-Americans in here to benefit from us not having the skills to do certain jobs and to work in factories.
You can't take people off an unemployment, like an unemployment line, and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles.
Why can't you take people off of an unemployment line and put them in a factory and teach them how to make missiles? I don't know why he used missiles as the example, but whatever. Why do we not think that we can take people off the unemployment line? What does Donald Trump think about people that are on the unemployment line? Like, what do you think they're not capable of learning a new skill? Do you not think as highly of Americans as you do of foreigners, people that we're bringing in? Isn't this the same criticism that Donald Trump and the Republicans and conservatives and MAGA and America First people were talking about when it came to the Democrats trying to bring in migrants to eventually vote and support the Democratic Party? So what's the difference here? I don't even know I don't recognize this. Oh, because the wealthy billionaires, they don't want to go through this learning curve of hiring Americans. They feel like they can just import people. They're like almost the passport bros of business in a lot of ways. They think that it's better off, well, we can just import people. They're going to demand less. They're going to be less trouble. You know, they're not American, so they're more appreciative of just being here, so we can pay them less. We can treat them worse. We can have them work longer hours. It's more beneficial for us, big business. And I think Donald Trump said something. He didn't say it in this clip, but I don't think he said it in this clip. But in the interview, he was saying how it's business. It's like, what does that mean? No, it's a country. It's America first. It's not just business. When people just say, think about the times that you've heard in your favorite movie or favorite TV show, or even in life when somebody tells you like, yo, it's just business. What that means is, hey, I know what I said before. Never mind that. I'm putting my principles, morals, values, putting all the integrity to the side because it's just business. That's what Donald Trump's doing. And he's not prioritizing the business of Americans. He's prioritizing the business of the wealthiest. This is the same thing when he did the cutouts for the farms, for the people in agriculture. He was saying how you're going to get rid of all these people, how Americans can start working on farms, how Americans can start doing these jobs. And then what ended up happening? No, we're going to do some carve-outs. We're going to do carve-outs to make sure that the farmers are still good because they don't want to take a setback. They don't want to go through this process of having to teach Americans. Do we think that we're just going to snap our fingers and things just be great and America's just in a great place? We have to go through certain struggle to win in the end.
Or I'm going to
How did we ever do it before?
Well,
When you and I were
I'll give you
growing
an
up.
example. In Georgia, they raided because they wanted illegal immigrants out. They had people from South Korea that made
Hyundai.
batteries all their lives. You know, making batteries are very complicated. It's not an easy thing. It's very dangerous. A lot of explosions, a lot of problems. They had like 500 or 600 people, early stages, to make batteries and to teach people how to do it. Well, they wanted them to get out of the country. You're going to need that, Laura. I mean, I know you and I disagree on this. You can't just say country.
No, Trump, you and Laura don't disagree on it. You and the previous version of yourself that campaigned on putting Americans first disagree. Laura's just asking questions based on what you sold us. You sold us this product, and now you're trying to act as if you never sold us that product, and you're bringing us a different product, and we should just accept it, and it should just make sense to us. You sold us on this product over here. I paid for this car, and you're trying to bring me this pickup truck and telling me how good the pickup truck is, and trying to tell me that, oh, I need a pickup truck for the terrain. No, I bought the car. Stop trying to, I bought the car. I didn't buy the pickup truck. Yeah, it's a nice pickup. Okay, cool, whatever. I bought the car.
He's coming in, going to invest $10 billion to build a plant and going to take people off an unemployment line who haven't worked in 5 years, and they're going to start making missiles. It doesn't work that way.
So what way does it work, Trump? Because you sold us on it working that way. You sold us on it working that way. Wasn't this the same process even with the tariffs? Hey, it may take a little bit of a hit here, but eventually, long term, this is going to be something very beneficial. So what's the difference when it comes to this? It just would be a longer process. Okay. Trump is like I said, I'm not going to say one of these statements like, if you still vote for represent Trump, you're this, you're that. No, I'm just asking for the people that are still supporting Trump, what exactly are you supporting? Let's not forget, a lot of people put Donald Trump's rhetoric, different things that he was saying, put that to the side just based on the things that he was promising. So you put all these things, we put all these things to the side just based on the things that he was going to get done. And we thought that he was the only one courageous enough to get a lot of these things done. And now he's not doing them. It's almost like this is even worse than other politicians because you sold us. You actually sold us on doing something totally different. You sold us on. Let's hear what Nick has to say about this. Let's get Nick's response. Let's hear from Nick. And this is just another example. You know what? I said it I was reviewing one of Nick's videos. And I think yesterday. And I was like, I don't know if this is the best time to run as a common sense person, like in politics, or the worst time. And the reason why, I don't know if it's the best. It's almost easy now. No, I'm not saying that Nick, the things that he's gone through have been easy. But it's very easy to stand out when it comes to politics right now, if you just have a common sense approach. When you look at Mamdani became the first Muslim mayor of New York City in a city that has the largest, most dense population of Jewish people, I believe, in the world. Correct me if I'm wrong. in the world. Mamdani, somebody that I don't even believe has ever had like a real job. 34 years old. Somebody that people are calling a radical jihadist, whatever they're trying to say he is. One thing that they also have to say he is the mayor, a winner. Now, why was he able to win? In my opinion, it's because it's the common sense stuff. We all saw the video of him getting up there where everybody else is talking about Israel. I'd go to Israel. I'd go to the Holy Land. I'd go with anti-Semitism on the rise. I'd go. Mamdani just says the common sense thing. He probably learned it from Donald Trump. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna put New Yorkers first, America first. Make New York City great again. I mean, however you want to categorize it. The whole MAGA movement was very much paired with putting Americans first. So what did Mamdani say? Oh yeah, I'm just gonna put New Yorkers first. Then he won the election. I don't know anything else relevant that Mamdani has said. Matter of fact, most of the things that you hear Mamdani saying, most people are like, yeah, he's never going to be able to do that I hear. But one thing that he did say that people got behind was, oh yeah, I'm going to stay in New York. I have no intentions of going to Israel. I won't be going to Israel. Going back to what I said, this is the easiest time. If you are just a common sense person that can read the room, a common sense politician that can read the room, and it goes a little bit beyond reading the room. Let me say this: a common sense politician who is not tied and handcuffed based on the donors that give them money. They're not bought and paid for. Then it's so easy right now. Think about even with the government shutdown. We had this whole Democrat versus Republican thing. What is Nick Fuentes' mindset? See, when you can truly have an American first approach. Now, I'm not saying that you have to. I said yesterday, I don't think Nick Fuentes is the answer. There's no one answer to all of this, but he's definitely part of the solution. He is definitely part of it. And what it's showing is that when you have just an American first, if you just sit down with any problem, let's say all the problems that America has, and if you're willing to sit there and say, you know what, how do we figure out what makes sense for Americans? Not what benefits the big Silicon Valley, not what benefits big pharma, not what benefits Israel, what benefits Americans? And if you allow that to serve as your compass, your navigation, as you're going through these ups and downs, different challenges presented with different problems, right? Then what you end up doing is you may take certain policies or ways of looking at things from the Democrats. You may take certain things from the conservatives. You make some liberal stuff, some conservative stuff, some Republican stuff, some Democrat stuff, right? You're not going to be tied to your gang affiliation. It's funny. We did I don't know if y'all are familiar with Hocus 4/5. So Hocus 4/5, he's a rapper from the Bronx. And he recently started, this is going to give me 30 seconds to do a tangent. He recently started a drop your flag challenge to all gang members. Like saying, man, drop your flag. You don't have to feel like you're tied to this gang for life. If it's not benefiting you in a positive way, making you become a more positive person, more positive contributor to society, drop your flag. Get rid of it. It's okay to walk away from it. The challenge that I have is drop your political gang. Drop it. Drop your political gang affiliation. And see how clearly we see things. See how easy it is to unite with your brother and your sister in America. See how easy it is to see through a lens instead of being handcuffed and tied to having to speak things. And this is both the politicians as well as the people. Instead of feeling like we have to say and do anything to rationalize what our gang is pushing, put that to the side. We don't need it. It allows them to control us in an easier way. Why do we want to be controlled by the people that are supposed to be working for us? If we put this gang affiliation to the side and we can just look at things from an American first perspective, what's just best for Americans? What makes the most sense? Then you don't have to just have policies that just benefit the wealthy, or you don't have to have policies that just allow you to dangle carrots of free bus rides in front of the Democrats or the liberals. We can say, hey, does this make sense? Let's look at the full picture. Does this make sense? Let's get to Nick's video. And, going back and let me finish off the point. So this is why it's so easy if you're a politician that just comes in with some common sense, because there's the silent majority, the moderate Democrats and the moderate Republicans are fiending for somebody. Fiending for somebody that they can, I don't even want to use the word follow. Perhaps the right word is follow, but not become a fan of, not become fanatical, not follow in a fanatical way. But somebody that they trust that can lead the country. It's very easy, but what makes it very hard is everybody's bought and paid for. So if you do come with a common sense approach, a more moderate approach, based on just being led by that North Star of, hey, I'm putting Americans first, then now you have enemies on both sides. Now both sides are going to try to kill you. You want to know why? Now, I'm not talking about literally, I'm not talking about literally. But now both sides are going to try to destroy you. You want to know why? Because both sides are getting money from the same places. So these rich and powerful people that are putting money on both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans, they're going to tell their Republican puppet, hey, you need to destroy him from this angle, destroy her from this angle. They're going to tell the Democrats, you need to destroy him or her from this angle. They're just playing everybody. And who ends up losing? The American people. Whose pockets end up growing? The politicians. Who ends up winning? Because I don't think that they're winning by compromising themselves, but who ends up winning? The people that are putting money, the people that we don't even know. Well, now we kind of know. The Miriam Adelsons, the billionaires that are able to control our politicians and control our government with their money. That's what ends up happening. Let's listen to Nick's response.
You can't bring in $10 billion for a plant, take people off the unemployment line, and start making missiles. It doesn't work that way. So that being a non sequitur aside, once again, this is just the next stage. So first they take the seats at the advanced universities from Americans, then they take the best jobs, then they take the best STEM jobs. No, you can't go to college, that's for the Chinese. No, you can't get a tech job, that's for the Indians, that's for the South Koreans. That's for Asians and immigrants from other countries. Americans can't do those jobs. Really? So hey, what jobs can we do? Americans apparently can't go to universities, and Americans also, they won't do the low-skill jobs that the Mexicans do. They also won't do the high-skill jobs that the Asians can do. They refuse to do the low-skill jobs that the dumb peasants from Central America do because they're lazy and they just can't work with their hands, and they're not able to do the high-skill jobs that the Asians do because they're stupid. You can't take them out of the unemployment line and teach them to make missiles. And by the way, both of these things are not true. Of course you can do that. Of course you can. When ICE raided a meatpacking plant in, I think it was Kansas, and they rounded up all the illegals and detained them, the following day, there was a line going around the building. The entire lobby of the meatpacking plant was filled, and there was a line wrapped around the building of people applying for jobs. Of course, Americans will do the jobs. You got to train them. It costs money, and it takes time. You got to train them up, but of course they'll do those jobs. And as far as the STEM jobs go, you probably have about 40% of college graduates 18 to 40 that have a STEM degree. How many of them are working in a STEM field? I think it's like 15%. So it's not just that you have unemployment, you have underemployment. You have maybe half of the people that have STEM jobs that are not, that have STEM degrees, they're not working in STEM jobs. Of course you can train them to make missiles. Instead of having Americans train H-1B visa workers to take their job, have the H-1B visa workers train Americans to take their job. It's a no-brainer.
This is why they want us to hate Nick Fuentes. I'm not here to argue about whether or not Nick Fuentes makes it easy, makes their jobs easy. I just want to talk about the policies. I want to talk about the approach. I want to talk about the intent. I want to talk about what do you hear Nick Fuentes? When you hear Nick Fuentes and you hear Donald Trump, who seems to be the more logical person when it comes to, hey, what's best for America? Because I'm not saying Donald Trump is not logical. I'm not saying that the things that he's done this entire presidency have not been logical. But the logic has been based on the things that are hurting America. The logic has been based on prioritizing Israel, prioritizing Silicon Valley, prioritizing Big Pharma. It's been extremely logical when you look at it like that. It's just not consistent with the message, the brand that he was pushing. What happens at a company when you want to bring in some new people that haven't been trained? You have the people that you dislike or that you want to get rid of, and they train the other people. And you may say, hey, the people the ones that are going to do the best job training the Americans, then we may have a position for y'all. We may have something. You know, to put yourself in the best position, train them well, because the people that aren't training them well, they probably shouldn't be there long anyway. But the people that do train the Americans well, you may have created a nice lane for yourself. Now, it may be temporary, but hey, you got to figure it out. Just like Ben Shapiro told the rest of Americans to figure it out, right? So non-Americans, yes, when you come to America and Americans are prioritized, you may have to figure it out. But Americans, yes, we got to figure out a way to make the country better for Americans. That has to be the priority. You can't serve all these different things at once. There has to be something that is your North Star that is guiding you when you have decisions to make that can be tough decisions. Shout out to Robert, big bro in the building. Definitely, as always, appreciate your support, big bro, man. Appreciate your support. Robert wrote, Trump is American corporation first. Tax cuts for the rich and corporations is the primary thing he has done. You're right. You're right. I can't think of anything else. I mean, closing the borders, okay. I guess you get a little pat on the back for that. But other than that, what has he done? He's fought extremely hard, just not for the things that that Americans wanted or that benefits America. Donald Trump has stood up extremely hard in the face of adversity. How much adversity did he get from talking all that ish? His son talking about the Epstein files, everybody on his team, Pam Bondi acting like, hey, we're dropping this. I got the folder right here. We're dropping this tomorrow. Underwhelming. That's what Donald Trump has been. Underwhelming. Underperforming as far as how it relates to Americans. All right, let's keep going.
Of course you can do. And this is what's missing in the government that we thought we were getting from Trump. And by the way, this actually goes towards the whole thing about Joseph Stalin. Why do I like Stalin in some ways? Super controversial, I know. Because if you read anything about the industrialization of the Soviet Union, it's incredible. These communists, as horrible and barbaric as they were, they would get on trains and they would go to factories and they would literally build factories from nothing. The actual politicians would do it. The actual politicians, they didn't know how to do anything, but they bootstrapped and they got on trains, they went out there and they just made towns that made tanks and planes. And they stole the secrets from the United States and they just did it. And it was super inefficient and criminal, and they used slave labor to do it. Like, I'm not co-signing the methods, but there was this spirit. There was a spirit there. There was a spirit in Germany also. There was also a spirit like this in America. It was a different time where people just said, we will do it. And we thought we were getting that with Trump. That's, by the way, what Make America Great Again means. The whole idea of Make America Great Again is this idea that the country is stuck, The country can't do anything. The government has no efficacy. The government can't solve problems, and neither can the private sector. It seems like our country is dying, and basically people are unable to stop it. People are either apathetic and they don't care, or people are inept and they're not competent enough. And it seems like the whole country's falling off the cliff and no one is able to even do anything. And we're looking at these energetic countries with tons of young people, whether it's in the Middle East or it's in Asia. We look at cities like Dubai. We look at cities like Singapore. We look at Beijing, Hong Kong. And people say, why can't we build things like they're building in China? Why can't, in China, they build bridges, they build things. We can't build anything. In Dubai, they build like world wonders and it's peaceful. In Chicago and New York, it's a shithole. It's dirty, there's crime everywhere, it smells like weed. You can't build anything. And the whole idea of Trump getting into office is that we would get the energy back. We would get this initiative back. That's what Make America Great Again meant. And yes, the aesthetics of MAGA had in it, you know, I'm not a socialist, but this idea of like heavy industry, like factories making stuff. Like Americans would be drafted not to go and fight in the Middle East, but literally drafted to build shit in America. You're going to get a job, you're going to work, and we're literally going to make things. We're going to make our country great. We're going to build skyscrapers, bridges, infrastructure. We're going to work with our hands. We're going to have factories. We're going to be a productive nation that builds the future. That was the whole premise. And Americans would do it. It was that Americans would do the building, not Chinese, not Indians, not foreign labor, not outsourcing. American labor, American builders, buying American, hiring American, American ingenuity and entrepreneurship and innovation and labor and companies would literally create our future. That was the idea of MAGA.
In my Jasmine Crockett voice, we're not picking cotton. No, now let me stop. Yes, Americans, I do believe, will take these jobs. Where's Nick wrong? Where is Nick wrong? And what I believe is happening, we've talked about it before. The baby boomer generation, like because they tried to cancel Nick Fuentes, because they did all this and now he's such a big person, now everybody wants to talk about him because now he's to the point where he'll actually help a lot of your ratings. He'll help your videos go viral. Yeah. But the baby boomers who were, let's say, convinced that Nick Fuentes, or maybe the baby boomers haven't really heard a lot about Nick Fuentes. Maybe the boomers hadn't heard a lot about Nick Fuentes because mainstream media did such a great job of not even acknowledging him. But they heard all these terrible things that were said about him. But now when you actually hear him speak, what is he wrong? Let's just start off there. Is he wrong? Who sounds like somebody? Does he sound like the 27-year-old, or does Donald Trump and the rest of these politicians, when they're going back and forth and playing gang wars between Democrats and Republicans and playing around with people's livelihood, who sounds like the 27-year-old? Who sounds like the 27-year-old college dropout? Is it Nick Fuentes or? I don't know. And this is another thing. So Pura Vida brought up another good point. What about AI taking our jobs? So think about this. We are now in a society where not only do we have, let's say, you know, mainly they're coming from India and China, but taking a lot of the jobs. We also have AI. Now, I don't know if this is just me being prejudiced, but I'm also, if somebody had to ask me who was more equipped and advanced when it comes to technology and AI, I would probably lean towards a lot of these countries that or like the China, I don't know if India would be in that as well, but I assume India because they're big tech. Yeah, they're probably going to be more advanced in those areas as well. So they're probably going to be more equipped to compete against those AI jobs, while Americans are just sitting here relying on the government that prioritizes everybody else and just sitting here trying to figure it out. I don't know what's going to happen when it comes to the AI. I don't know what's going to happen. Literally, it seems like all of our politicians are just making deals to make it harder and harder for Americans to thrive in America. All of these deals, think about that. Whether it's us pushing for AI, whether it's us pushing for, having more and more migrants come in to take, whether it's the factory jobs, whether it's the Silicon Valley jobs, whether it's anything else. They're making it harder and harder for Americans to compete. And then we got, once again, Ben Shapiro sitting here saying, well, if you can't compete here, you should just leave. So speaking of Ben Shapiro, perhaps that was a nice segue to remind me that we have another video to talk about our buddy Ben, Little Ben. I shouldn't say that. That's me. Nick calls him Little Ben. Let's take a look at Little Ben. Baby Ben. Let me change this view for you guys. All right, take a look at this. This is a conversation between Tucker and Ben Shapiro. Let me know your thoughts. I'll let the video play through, and then if anything, we'll go back and chop it up as we do.
The question is, when the pedal hits the metal, like you talk in the book about technology and how it's shifting and taking away jobs from folks. Yes. And you make specific reference to truck driving and the fact that there are going to be these automated cars on the roads. So would you, Tucker Carlson, be in favor of restrictions on the ability of trucking companies to use this sort of technology specifically to, sort of artificially maintain the number of jobs that are available in the trucking industry?
Are you joking? In a second. In a second. In other words, if I were president, when I say to DOT, to Department of Transportation, we're not letting driverless trucks on the road, period. Why? Really simple. Driving for a living is the single most common job for high school educated men in this country, in all 50 states. By the way, that's the same group whose wages have gone down by 11% over the past 30 years. The social cost of eliminating their jobs in a 10-year span, 5-year span, 30-year span is so high that it's not sustainable. So the greater good is protecting your citizens from, look, capitalism is the best economic system I can think of, I think that anyone's ever thought of. But that doesn't mean that it's a religion and everything about it is good.
No, but
there's no Nicene Creed of capitalism that I have to buy into. What I care about is living in a country where, decent people can live happy lives, actually. And so, no, I would say immediately, no, are you joking? And I maybe would make up some pretext for public consumption, like, oh, they're dangerous. The technology is not quite finessed. No. But the truth would be, I don't want to put 10 million men out of work because you're going to have 10 million dead families, and the cascading effect from that will wreck your country.
And Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes, those are enemy number one, right? Enemy of the state. In some ways, perhaps it's necessary. I don't want to say it's good or bad. Perhaps it's necessary for us to go through what we're currently going through, and perhaps what we will continue to go through, which is us just understanding who's on what side. Who's fighting for what? Perhaps a lot of these situations that we're currently in, whether it's Israel, whether it's, challenging big pharma with a lot of doctors and surgeons speaking out, perhaps we're going through a point of America where we're going to have to decide what type of country we're going to be, and if we're going to thrive as an American country, or if we're just going to allow ourselves to be auctioned off, to the highest bidder. Because that's what our politicians are doing. They're auctioning themselves off to the highest bidder, and the highest bidder is then able to control the policies and everything else. We talked the other day about how it works with elected officials. Matter of fact, I'm not sure that we talked about this. I may have spoken about this on a review video, may not have been on the live show. But this was my main takeaway that I learned from Project 2025 when I was reading it. And perhaps it's obvious to you all. It wasn't obvious to me. I just didn't think about it. But these elected officials, what they end up doing is the elected officials, they appoint certain government officials that are then going to be the ones that are, now these obviously are non-elected officials. Those people are then going to be the ones that put the legislation, put the policies. Those are the ones that write the laws. Those are the ones that when you're a politician, you try to get as many people in those government jobs as possible. Because when you leave during your 4 terms being up, 4-year term or whatever your term is being up, those people can still be there. Those people are the people that largely write our laws are not even the people that we elect. They're people that are appointed by the people that we elect. So it trickles down from the billionaires, the Miriam Adelsons. They're going to put money into the politicians. They're going to force the politicians to do certain things that obviously align with their agenda because that's why they're giving them money. They're going to have them appoint certain people that are obviously not elected, appoint certain people in certain positions to establish legislation that is ultimately good for who? If you're at the top controlling this, then obviously you're going to make legislation that is good for you and your personal interest. We're seeing this destroy our country. That's the position that we're in right now. So I'm thankful for these companies. I think they just did a story on the group that created Track APAC. I'm thankful for us tracking and understanding that we have to follow the money. One of the best lines from the show The Wire, follow the money. I'm thankful for that company that decided to do that. We should all embrace more transparency. We should all embrace more clarity. We're in a time now where we have as much information as perhaps any other generation has ever had. We have the information. Now we have to make decisions. We don't need to just have blind faith in politicians on either side, Democrat or Republican. We don't have to have that blind faith in them. We don't have to have fanaticism with them. We have the information. We don't need to trust. We can actually just look at the information. We don't need to root for this person. We can just look at the information and decide what's best for us. Why are we rooting for politicians more than we're rooting for ourselves? More than we're rooting for the everyday American, like Tucker Carlson just said. He wants decent Americans to be able to live happy lives. I don't know about y'all, but I'm in a lot better mood when my bank account is healthy compared to when I'm struggling and going through something. Yes, we can use the, being down and out as some inspiration and some motivation, more motivation than inspiration. Maybe for a couple weeks or a couple months, we're going to lock in and be broke and embrace it. Yeah, but that's not a long-term solution. That's not a long-term plan. At a certain point, we got to do what starts making sense and winning. I'm sure y'all are much better people. I'm more pleasant to be around when I got money in my pocket, just being straightforward. I see the glass half full when I got money in my pocket compared to when I don't. When I have it. Let's go through this video one more time. Let's go through this video one more time and maybe stop in certain points where Tucker is making some points and elaborate on certain things. Let's go.
The question is, when the pedal hits the metal, like you talk in the book about technology and how it's shifting and taking away jobs from folks. Yes. And you make specific reference to truck driving and the fact that there are going to be these automated cars on the roads. So would you, Tucker Carlson, be in favor of restrictions on the ability of trucking companies to use this sort of technology specifically to, sort of artificially maintain the number of jobs that are available in the trucking industry?
Are you joking? In a second.
Ben Shapiro actually responded. Go back and listen to him when Tucker said, "Are you joking?" Ben Shapiro actually tried to respond.
Sort of artificially maintain the number of jobs that are available in the trucking industry.
Are you joking? In a second.
Let me ask you, Ben, what would Israel do? Remember back to the WWJD? WWID. What would Israel do for Israelis? Ben. Maybe to make it make sense to Ben, perhaps we have to put it in that perspective. Do you think Israel would do whatever it takes to do what's best for Israelis? To prioritize and give Israeli opportunities, no matter who we have to take them away from? He's over here talking about we're talking about taking away an opportunity from AI, prioritizing Americans over AI, prioritizing Americans first over the huge corporations that may benefit from having driverless trucks. Ben Shapiro, do you care more? Who do you care more about? This is why people don't believe you and people don't want to hear your voice. And when people do hear your voice, it's almost like you just get angry just hearing him, because you know the perspective that he represents. You know the lack of empathy that he has for Americans, but the overwhelming empathy that he has for Israelis, while he's using Americans and using his influence in America to benefit Israel first. This is why nobody likes you. This is why the only people that do like you are the ones that are Zionist, pro-Israel. This is why. This is a common sense question. If you ask a 15-year-old, a 20-year-old this, the answer should be the same. Yes, you should not allow, should we just allow all companies to just be completely AI so there's no more jobs left for Americans, period? What do we think that would look like? See, Ben Shapiro has no understanding of what a man not getting paid a job, a truck driver not getting paid, man or woman, what that does to the family. More specifically, let me lock in. Matter of fact, let me not do all this BS. What it does to when a man is not making that, when you take away a man's ability to make money, what that does to the family. Ben Shapiro has no idea, because that's not his culture. He's never had to deal with that. Why? Because his culture benefits tremendously from America. They're the privileged ones. They're the only child syndrome ones. They're the entitled ones. For him to even ask this question is like, well, obviously we have to do something about this. If Americans are not working, what does that look like?
In a second. In other words, if I were president, when I say to DOT, to Department of Transportation, we're not letting driverless trucks on the road, period. Why? Really simple. Driving for a living is the single most common job for high school educated men in this country, in all 50 states.
And one thing that I have to call out, like, we have to be very good about calling out our own contradictions, because I can think back to having conversations and even though I don't think that I contradicted myself in this particular area, but perhaps I did. Let's talk about it. Let's unpack it. I can see. I've had conversations about prioritizing the people that own businesses, prioritizing the business owners, giving certain tax breaks to the business owners, the ones that actually take the risk to create businesses so everybody else can work there. I'm with that. I am with that. I got to be honest with that. To a certain degree, to where it makes sense. But that can only happen when you're prioritizing the businesses based on them being able to prioritize the workers, if that makes sense. Now, that may be something that we're clearly seeing. Now, I don't know if this is every company or whatever, but this may be something that I'm not living in the real world. Perhaps I'm not, and perhaps I wasn't when I was looking at it like that. Just having the conversation with y'all. If we can't check ourselves, then we're doomed anyway. But going back to it, I could, if we're looking at it where it's the business should be able to do whatever they want. A private business. But when we're talking, because a lot of these are private businesses, but when we're talking about the Department of Transportation, see, this is where I got to lean more. I guess you could say that this is Tucker, and even what I'm going through right now in my mind, this is more leaning in more of a liberal way, right? This is maybe another example of if you prioritize Americans, then the whole liberal conservative stuff goes out the way because you're just looking to solve problems. So if you need to use this tool, it's like I only use Phillips head screwdrivers. I'm a Democrat. And Republicans, I only use flathead screwdrivers. Well, you're going to be very limited in the way that you can go about solving problems and fixing things if you have that mindset. And a lot of times in politics, that's what ends up happening. So perhaps when I was having this conversation, I remember having it with my parents and me saying, nah, they should get, I'm cool with them giving tax cuts to certain corporations. Those are the people that take the risk so we can have the comforts of our 9 to 5. But there's a balance. And if we're not paying attention to that balance, then we're going to be lost because now we're just competing. Now it's just, I'm pushing my argument against your argument. And we end up separating ourselves rather than just uniting because why? Well, because this is what the Democrats are doing. This is what the Republicans are doing. So we're all guilty of it. I've been guilty of doing it. So now as I'm going through my mind, and I'll have to keep processing this, but as I'm hearing Tucker talk, absolutely get involved, government. The government gets involved in our businesses to do us harm. You can get involved to do some good. Let's keep going.
By the way, that's the same group whose wages have gone down by 11% over the past 30 years.
And I want to be very clear and correct that. I'm not sure if y'all saw that on the screen. It says it's actually 50%. So these people, these wages have gone down 50% over the past 30 years. And we wonder why we can't buy a house. We wonder why we're not having families. We're wondering why we're not getting married. When am I going to be prepared to get married as a man if you're decreasing my salary by 50%? How am I going to get married? How am I going to even think about family, right? As a man, you're supposed to make sure that you can go into the relationship protecting and providing, right? Especially in a society now where women are making just as much. So you decrease these wages that are from the truck drivers that are, largely, I would say, without looking at the stats, more men. What do we think that's going to do to families? Do we think? Get involved, government. When it comes to stuff like this, get involved. I'm leaning and getting involved. Maybe I'll change my mind moving forward, but that's where I stand right now.
The social cost of eliminating their jobs in a 10-year span, 5-year span, 30-year span is so high that it's not sustainable. So the greater good is protecting your citizens from, look, capitalism is the best economic system I can think of, I think that anyone's ever thought of, but that doesn't mean that it's a religion and everything about it is good.
And this is what happens when we get in these conversations, Democrat versus Republican, capitalist, socialist, all these different. Just because something is the best system or the system that we've adopted doesn't mean that it's beyond criticism. Doesn't mean that we have to look at it like a religion and just say everything we have to agree with. This is from God. We have to look everything we can agree with. Perhaps we should also look at religion like that too. Different conversation for a different day.
No, but
there's no Nicene Creed of capitalism that I have to buy into. What I care about is living in a country where, decent people can live happy lives, actually. And I would say immediately, no, are you joking? And I maybe would make up some pretext for public consumption, like, oh, they're dangerous. The technology is not quite finessed. No. But the truth would be, I don't want to put 10 million men out of work because you're going to have 10 million dead families, and the cascading effect from that will wreck your country.
This is good. This is good. This is good. This is very good. Let's move on to, we got one more video, and then we're going to get out of here. Am I going to play this video? Do I want to play this video? We'll play it. So this was a video of college students. Zionist, it says this video of Zionist college students is that. Have I talked about Israel today? I was going to do a day without talking about Israel, I just, you know what? No, because that's how we're playing the video. We're playing the video. All right. I want to share this video for a few different reasons. And I'll explain that to you afterwards.
Allowed! They want our people dead! They want us killed!
So let me read the caption first. It says, this video of Zionist college students hysterically crying crocodile tears because there's a pro-Palestinian demonstration happening as they demand the security guard to arrest them all perfectly encapsulates Zionism and its depraved cult of fake victimhood.
How is it allowed? How are you allowing this? Why are you putting us to They want us dead! Please end it, please!
She just said they want us dead, please end it. Can you imagine the amount of entitlement that you have to be at what seems like I can only look at, it seems to be a peaceful pro-Palestinian rally, and people to be crying hysterically saying they want us dead. Wow. The thing that they're protesting is their people having a genocide committed against them. Can you just think about it from that standpoint? You're saying they want us dead at a peaceful protest in which what is being protested is a genocide that is going on with the country that you clearly are aligned with against the people who are protesting the country that they're aligned with or the country that they're standing up for. This is the entitlement that has been created. And this is why it's so scary, because when you've convinced a group of people that they should be treated in a special way, special privileges. This is the same thing that Richard Nixon, the first video that we started off with, that we should have a special relationship with one particular group. Now what ends up happening is when you treat somebody special for so long and you allow them to do whatever, the rules don't apply to them. Now when you actually treat everybody the same, they actually feel like they're being attacked. They feel like things are unfair. But they never see, this is the same mindset that Ben Shapiro has. This is what allows Ben Shapiro to say the things that he says that are completely just out of touch, and him just forgetting, that, oh, well, yeah, Americans, if you can't figure it out, then leave. If you can't figure it out on your own, if you can't figure out how to pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, then leave. Well, I wonder what would happen if we applied that same logic to Israel. And I'm putting this up because we have to be able to normalize being able to, I don't even know if normalize is the right word, but we have to be able to have honest conversations to where, this girl that's crying hysterically, like, we have to be honest with when it comes to these conversations. Israel, you've been taking advantage of America for a very long time. Shame on America first for allowing it. Shame on America. You were just doing what they allowed you to do. Bibi Netanyahu just doing what America has allowed Bibi Netanyahu to do. But at a certain point, we have to stop this. We have to be honest with these conversations, because it's going to get to a point where this is going to lead to something that I don't think benefits America. Because I don't think us having a conflict with Israel is beneficial for America, but it's one of those things where you treat somebody so special that now it's like you can't back away from it. You can't just say, you know what, we want to just make sure that we're establishing relations with, you know, the entire region and not having anything just particular for this group. Let's continue with the video. I'm going back and forth on whether or not I should have even played it, to be real, Joe. This is what creates the mindset that Mamdani's he's anti-Semitic, he's this, he's that. Well, when your standard of anti-Semitic is anybody that just doesn't allow Israel to do whatever they want to do, then yeah, a lot of people are going to be put in that category. When your standard of what makes a politician anti-Semitic, somebody that doesn't want to take money from AIPAC and doesn't want to allow themselves to get bullied by putting Israel's interest first over America's first, then yeah, I can see a lot of people being labeled anti-Semitic. This has a stranglehold on our government. A stranglehold on our government, and it impacts us in a lot of different ways. And it's just another situation, you know, just like the other situations that we've seen in the previous videos where, you know, Americans are not being prioritized, Americans are being used, Americans are being manipulated. This is the same thing. And we see it represented in this way. You're at a peaceful rally and you're crying. You're calling, I don't know if the caption said that they're calling for the people to be arrested. I don't know if that's the case, but think about it. That's what was happening at a lot of these things, where now we're so controlled by a country that when they're determining whether or not somebody's going to get their visa, they're looking at your social media to make sure that you didn't say anything bad about Israel. Like,
about what happened on the weekend, why can't they just go up there?
In the words of Ben Shapiro, if you can't handle it where you are, maybe you should just leave them. Let me not use Ben Shapiro logic when it comes to, you know, turning it back the other way. That would be offensive. That would be offensive. All right, we're going to wrap this up. Oh, boy. Holy. All right, let's get this off the screen. All right. Hold on. We got to remove that off. All right, there we go. Finn, why are you doing that to me, Finn? Finn, oh, we got to get out of here. We'll save more of that for tomorrow. Oh, my God. Yo, all right, most important part of the show, make sure that y'all like. It's breathing time. Yeah, it's breathing time, Finn. You almost compromised it with that last comment that you wrote. You almost compromised breathing time, but let's get into it. Box breathing, meditate, manifest, close your eyes if you're in a safe place. This is the most important part of the show. Let's focus on our breathing, focus on every inhale, feeling the positive energy coming into our the light. Look at it like the light. You know, look at it like our light being charged with every inhale. And with every exhale, we're getting rid of all the wasted energy, all the toxic energy that may be built up in us, all the limiting negative energy, whatever it may be, we're actively getting rid of it. Let's begin. We're not going to do the sound bowls today. Matter of fact, we'll do the sound bowls. Hold on. We'll do the sound bowls. We shall do the sound bowls, and that'll give me time to say, once again, this is about bringing people together. Sometimes you got to call out the people, your brothers and sisters that are moving in a certain way in order to bring people together. Sometimes we got to make the hard decisions now in order to have a benefit later on. So I think what it comes down to is what Steve started off the show with his comments saying that let's unite on truth. So we're not bashing anybody. Sometimes we may bash Ben Shapiro, but we're not bullying anybody. All right. Unless we're bullying the bullies. It's okay to bully the bullies, but we're not bullying anybody else. And that takes a lot of grace and understanding and intent and lack of, and not emotions, to make sure that we're not just bullying, you know, bystanders. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do the same things that we accuse others of doing and don't like. All right, sound bowl meditation. Y'all probably sitting here like, what is he even talking about? Y'all probably sitting here, what is he talking about? All right, let's Let me share this screen. Oh, it's already shared. There we go. Let me make it a little bigger. All right. 4-second inhale, 4-second hold, 4-second exhale, 4-second hold. Ready? Hold up. All right, 4-second inhale. Close your eyes. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Inhale. Last inhale. Make sure that we're being very intentional. Positive into your system. Ready? Inhale that battery with that light. Go. Hold. Right. Exhale the rest of that negative energy. Leave in your system. Leave in your system. Hold. Shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to y'all. Y'all know what we come here to do. Hold on. Shout out to y'all, man. Y'all know what we come here to do. Elevate on purpose, both from an intentional standpoint, raising our standards to become the best leaders we can become that are needed now more than ever, and to grow into the people that we need to grow into in order to accomplish these audacious goals that we set out for ourselves. Strength and honor, onward and upward. Get to that bag. For those that don't know what I mean when I say get to the bag, all the things that we're doing throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year that are ultimately going to add up into what we like to call our personal legend, our overall impact on this world, our impact on our families, communities, all right? All of the above. What is our impact going to be? What is our personal legend going to be? All right? In order to make sure that we're following the right path, that we're navigating to the right point, or navigating, I should say, as efficiently as possible along our trajectory as we live in our purpose and strive for purposeful abundance. We got to be clear on what we're focusing on. So the things that I like to focus on are peace, love, happiness, health, wealth, and in everything we do, integrity, and got to add that balance. Got to add that balance. So on that note, I hope that everybody has an amazing day. Don't think of Ben Shapiro too much. At the end of the day, good or truth shall prevail. Truth shall prevail, and I think good always wins, whatever that is. You know, perhaps good is just aligned with truth, and us just making sure that we can look at truth in a way to bring the best result for all of humanity as we strive to achieve this greater peace and just have us live in harmony. Like, it goes back to what Tucker said, like, hey, we just want to be able to, live happy lives, have an impact on society in a positive way and live a happy life. So on that note, I'll let y'all go. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Let's see what wise words we got from y'all to carry us out. Finn said, we move with strength and honor, stay humble in humility, and stand together in unity. I love that. It's not about the glory. It's about the brotherhood. Greatness isn't built alone, but with hearts and minds together. One more time, we move with strength and honor, stay humble in humility, and stand together in unity. It's not about the glory, it's about the brotherhood. Greatness isn't built alone, with hearts and minds together. All right? Greatness isn't built alone, but with hearts and minds together. I appreciate that. What do we got from Steve? Big bro. Control your emotions to control your mind, to control your actions, to control your legacy. be the change. One more time. Control your emotions, to control your mind, to control your actions, to control your legacy. Be the change. All right. And Unc, what is Unc leaving us with? Always keep in mind, learn something new, teach something different to someone new. Always keep that in mind. We got to continue learning and always teaching. So definitely appreciate y'all carrying us out. And of course, a show ain't a show without Queez dropping the fire emoji. So salute to all of y'all. And I'll see y'all bright and early tomorrow at 8 a.m. Ew.